Good morning, everyone. I hope this finds you well and living your best life in Jesus Christ. If I am blessed to live to be 100 years old, I'll never forget the look on Brother Raymond's face when Dad kicked down his cinder blocks. Now, some of you have heard this story before, but for those of you unfamiliar with this story, my dad was the chairman of the building fund and the chief trustee of the church when I was growing up. About the time I was 8 or so, the church decided to build a new building, since it was becoming increasingly clear that the old but much loved building was going to eventually be condemned. It was decided that my dad, since he had construction experience, would be the foreman for this job, and that the church would be built as the Lord provided and without a mortgage. This meant that the men of the church, and even us kids, spent pretty much every Saturday working on the church for literally years. Of course, a lot of these men had absolutely no experience doing this type of work, and often my dad would have to gently and sometimes not so gently correct their mistakes. So, anyway, I clearly remember the excitement on that Saturday as we all gathered to watch the foundation being dug, and I remember the entire congregation making a huge circle around this deep mud hole as Brother Raymond led us in a prayer. And he prayed that the Lord would bless this building into the hands that built it, that it would be used to forward his kingdom, and that it would stand strong and resolute as a lighthouse to lead the lost to Christ. The concrete was poured the next Saturday, and it was decided that as soon as it cured, we would begin laying block. I remember all the men gathering around my dad, and as he and two other trustees showed the proper way to lay block. Dad stressed how important that everything must be level, square, and true, and he very carefully explained the importance of using a plumb line to check. So down into the pit they all climbed as we younger kids and teenagers hauled bricks to them. That's when Dad found out quickly that it was going to be a long, long day. See, our pastor, Brother Raymond Anderson, was a good man, a good pastor, and a sincere man of God. But a block layer he wasn't. Dad put him in the corner and got him started, and Brother Raymond, with much gusto, began to lay block. But as the day progressed, it became clear that Brother Raymond, while sincere and energetic, was just not a block layer. I was sitting on the edge of the pit taking a breather when Dad came to check on the progress. Each of the other men who were laying up the corners were doing fine, but Brother Raymond's corner wasn't looking too hot. Even to my 8 or 9-year-old eyes, it was looking kind of rough. The blocks were unevenly spaced, the joints were wide in some places and narrow in others. But the unforgivable sin was it just wasn't plumb. You see, a foundation wall that is not plumb does not support weight vertically. It will hold for a while, but eventually the stress of the weight on top of it will cause it to buckle sideways, and then you have a building in danger of collapse. Dad took one look at Brother Raymond's wall, dropped a plumb line in the corner, and without a word proceeded to kick the whole thing down. I mean, all of it. Then he looked at me and told me to help Brother Raymond clean the block so he could do it again. As I said, I'll remember the look on the pastor's face as Dad kicked the wall down for the rest of my life. But I also remember that he never said a word. He just cleaned the block and started again. Now, looking at this through my eyes today, I'm sure he was embarrassed, and I'm sure it was a humbling experience. But you see, he knew, as we all did, that it must be done right or the whole building could fall. That building was going to have a firm physical foundation, and its occupants were going to have a firm spiritual foundation, if Brother Raymond had anything to say about it. Everyone's life has a foundation, but not all foundations are equal. Everyone puts their hope and trust in something, and what we put our hope and trust in becomes our foundation for life. Some people build their lives on a foundation of money, believing that if they have more money, life will be better and more secure. Some people build their lives on possessions, trusting that more stuff means more happiness. Lots of people build their lives on popularity, thinking that if they can get more friends, they will never really be on their own and life will be great. These are just a few examples. The truth is, you can build your life on any number of things. Fame, athletics, music, drugs and alcohol, beauty. Well, you get the picture. Not all of these things are bad, but every one of them is temporary. And here's the thing. If your life is built on any of these temporary things, what happens when the foundation doesn't last? See, we're called to build our lives on the rock, and that rock is Jesus. Sometimes we think life will be perfect when we're following Christ, but make no mistake, storms will still come to those following Jesus. In John 16:33, Jesus told his disciples, I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart. I have overcome the world. Now, looking back on my father, my dad had many faults, just like all of us. But there's one thing Dad knew. It was that in order for something to last, it has to have a good, strong, true foundation. So the question today is, what are you building your life on? I hope you're building a strong foundation today, and that your strong foundation is in Jesus Christ, because that's the only true foundation for a life. I hope you make today a fantastic day. I want you to remember I'm here if you need me, and I love you all.